Hi, welcome to another video of Oakwood House. Today we're going to continue with the chess pieces. Last time we did the pawns. I showed you how I used a master to work on all the pawns. Today we are going to make these guys, the rooks. I chose for a very simple design, still recognizable as a rook on the board, and is having quite a simple shape, slightly taller than the pawns. So we're going to need 4 of them, so I'm going to continue making 3 more of these rooks before we can move on to the next piece. So I've already prepped my block of wood that I've selected. Again, you see I'm not using ready blanks. Why should I? It just takes a minute or something to create a blank out of a piece of wood. Again, I'm using firewood, so it's hardwood, and it should come out great. I've been using this type of wood for these pieces all along, so I know what to expect. Again, to reduce any tool markings or claw markings, I always drill a little hole in there like that, and so they can go on the spindle, and I'll show you. I just put them here on the screw it in, and I don't drill it too deep because they can get stuck if you want to try to take them off. So okay, that's nice and firm there. Okay, I'm going to position my center there as well. So just drive it in just a little bit. Make sure that it is all okay and good to go. Right. Okay, so we got our piece in the lathe here. Making sure it's not touching the rest. Okay, check everything right. So I'm just going to take the roughing gouge and make a blank. And as you can see, I'm just like really getting into the piece. First thing that I want to do is make sure that my center of gravity is exactly in the middle of the piece, so we don't have that much wobble. I just need to tighten this a little bit. Right now that I've got most of the rough edges off, I'm just going to turn the speed up a bit. Now while I'm removing the material, I'm kind of keeping an eye on this inner ring here, because I know I have to stop and check my measurements as soon as I'm a little bit narrower than the claw there. Okay, and this is where we really need to start checking. There's absolutely covered in dust. Checking our width. So of course I'm going to go from my first one, my master rook. We're probably still not there yet, so well, almost. Just a little bit, just taking the opportunity to place my tool rest closer. Right. Still a little bit more to go. Just a smidge. Yep, that's it. So now I'm going to smooth the piece out. Okay. Next step is to have a straight edge on one side. I'm just going to cut in here. And I'm always cutting a little bit towards the center, inwards, to make sure that when the piece is finished that you stand it up and doesn't wobble around. Alright, now we're ready to take our measurements. And again, like I said, I'm pretty much eyeballing most of this project here, because I don't mind being off just half a mil here and there. I mean, it kind of tells you like, hey, we're handmade, we didn't come rolling out of a factory, and I kind of like that idea. So we roughly marked out where my cuts are going to be. So just give this a turn. There we go. Right, so I'm going to remove a big part here, work it in so I have enough room for my tool to work. This is going to be the top. I'm going to cut it alongside it to prevent my piece from jamming up. There we go. There we go. Okay, for the moment I'm not going to take away any more because I do want to keep some stability. So I'll just start with making the grooves here. Now, and as you can see from the blank, we're going to cut this way in here. And I'm kind of eyeballing that. That's okay. still take a measurement though. It might be close there. Yeah, just a bit more off. This might be it. No, just a smidge more. There is exactly where we need it to be. Okay. Now, next step is to make this lovely concave shape there. So that's what we're going to do next. Again, I'm going to be using spindle gouge from my pen creating set, because the normal spindle gouges would be just too large and too much risk of biting into the piece. So let's go. I'm going to start from here, and I'm actually going to draw waist of the piece going as smooth as possible. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just going to adjust the camera there a little bit. There we go. Because I'm actually rotating my tool around to get in between. And you need to be careful with that, because you do have a larger risk of some bites into the material. And I'm just easing it over it. I'm just adjusting my light a little bit here. Okay, now I'm just going to focus on rounding off the shape. I'm just barely touching it. And I'm keeping my eye on this side of the piece, because the light is hitting there. I've got a strong contrast, so I can see how much material I'm cutting away and where I'm cutting away. I actually want to create that little squeeze here, going a little bit inwards before moving outwards again. I'm doing this very carefully. I'm actually using my diamond cutting tool just to even out this bit here. There, I'm happy with that. Now we're going to smooth out the head. Just going to measure across here. So this gives me a pretty good idea of how much I need to cut off. Again, I'm going to use the diamond cutting tool for that. So I'm just going to see how far I am there. Oh, a good bit to go. Oh. Okay. Should be close now. Yeah, that's spot on. So now that we know how deep we need to cut, we get the rest of it out of the way. Yeah, that's not really straight yet. I'm just going to use the scrape here. There, that looks much better. I'm just going to stop and just put my piece next to it to see. Yes, I actually need to cut a little bit off more from this side. Actually, it looks like just the width of my diamond tool, so I'm going to use that. I often enough use my tools to measure to see, okay, how much do I need to take off, and sometimes it's just like the half of the width of the blade that I'm using. So let's do that now. Okay, that should be it. Nice, yep, we're there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is there's a slight concave shape here, so I'm going to apply that here as well. Again, using the spindle gouge from the pen set. And it shouldn't be too much, and it should be like a really smooth rounding. Don't actually want any sharp edges there. Yep, that looks like it. Now it's time to separate the head of the piece. Going to give you a little bit of a better view there. we're ready to separate. You hear that? That always tells me that we're good to go. Because what you're hearing is this squeaking here, and I'm just going to retract this a bit. Then I use my sharp chisel to gently give it a nudge. Now the cut is not as clean as I usually would try for it, but in this case it doesn't matter, because the next thing we're going to do is create this hollow here. So what I'll do is just quickly measure how deep that hollow goes. Well, that much. Just going to adjust my tool rest. And there are several ways of doing it, but I prefer it just to use my diamond cutting tool for my pen set. Right, and I'm just checking to see how much of a rim I need to give. So again, I'm using my tool as a measuring device, and you can actually see that the rim is a little bit bigger than the width of the tool. So that'll give me a good indication to make my cut. So here I am aligned, and here I'm going to start my cut. Okay, I'm actually going to lower my tool a little bit, because the center of the diamond cutting tool is a little bit higher. So I actually want to end up kind of like in the middle like this. So what I can do is actually bring the diamond cutting tool across. And you see this little point in the middle starting to form. That's okay, just ignore that. Just continue bringing your tool back and forward. Easy as it goes. Okay, let's have a look now to see if we need to go any deeper. Yeah, just a smidge. And I'm sure there are better techniques than the one that I'm using, but it just gets the job done. Right, and now I'm just right bang on. So now I need to just get rid of that little mill piece. That's no big problem. So what I do is just bring my diamond cutting tool right on the center of it, and just gently bring it across. Now, so let's have a look. That looks good. Although this one has a little bit straighter than this one. This one is going more in, so I'm going to correct that. Give it a little bit more curvy shape, and just bring my tool rest a little bit higher. touching, taking off little bits at a time. Because I want to have this running as smooth as possible with a concave shape. Alright. Okay, now time for sanding. And with that, I will show you a trick that I discovered that works really good. So I'm just gonna get my sandpaper here lined up. I'll bugger it, I'm going to use new pieces. So as usual, I'm going to be taking 150 grit, 320 grit and 600 grit to be sanding the piece down. I'm going to turn back the speed, don't want to go too fast, and I'm just going to sand this down. I'm not going to put too much pressure on this round bit, because before you know it, you sand it all away. There we go. Smoothen out this top. Okay. We sand the inside as well. And I often fold my strips just to get into those edges here. And in here as well. Okay. Now to follow up with the 320. Again, I'm going to make a fold and just get inside here. And there you go. And then for the 600 grit, Again, doing my little fold. Now, you can get this special wood polishing grits, right? And it depends on what type of wood you're using. You'll get the matching grit for it to have like that final sanding down of it, final polishing of it. There is a cheaper way to do it. Instead of getting all these special powders, you just take a handful of sawdust of the material you just used and you hold against it, and that way you're using a shaving or sanding compound that has the exact same hardness of the material you have on your lathe, and you can already see the shine coming off it, and we haven't even applied wax yet. So that is a very good trick, right? Be very careful there that you don't catch. Put some there on top. If you're feeling adventurous, you can turn on the speed, but like I said, be careful. There. And there we have our rook. So the only thing needs to be done is tinting it, and we can move on to the next piece then. So thanks for watching. If you have any tips or tricks that you might want to teach me, feel free to reply. Heads up to Becca for letting me know that I could do better with the camera work, because the last one I've kind of like mounted it on the light here, and it like took on the vibration of the machine here. So I hope that this is like a little bit more better on the audio quality, that you don't hear constant rattle of the tool hitting the piece. Alright, okay, so thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.